This is not a podcast for beginners, unfortunately. This podcast is for people who are actually investing their time into Etsy, who treat it seriously, and who want to do everything possible to gain real, correct knowledge so their store can grow consistently. My name is Michael, and I have 20 years of experience in online marketing. I started back when mobile phones still had black and white screens. I understand the algorithms of the biggest marketplaces in the world, including eBay, Amazon, and of course, Etsy. I understand them from a technical perspective. I understand how they work. And most importantly, I understand their purpose. If you want to benefit from that experience, set aside more time and listen carefully. And if something sounds unclear or confusing, that usually means you're missing part of the fundamental understanding of how Etsy actually works. Knowledge you can confidently fill in through my SEO and Etsy ads courses. Today, we're going to talk about a few so called tricks that still work on Etsy in 2026. To be clear, the era of hacks and shortcuts is long gone. Etsy has been a fully mature platform for at least 2 or 3 years now, and it runs on a very simplified but extremely effective algorithm. What matters is sales, traffic, and conversion, repeated over and over again. What no longer matters are things like tags hidden in so called magic places. Um, Inside descriptions, titles overloaded with keywords, constantly turning listings on and off, large numbers of likes, or any of the old tricks experienced sellers were taught years ago. Running an Etsy store today is exactly the same as running your own e commerce store, managing professional social media, or operating a standard online business. You don't need advanced knowledge, but you do need real understanding of stable, repeatable mechanisms. So, why am I still calling these things tricks? Because in 2026, the real tricks are understanding marketing psychology, understanding how buyers think, how they make decisions, and how to consciously use Etsy's basic tools to stimulate more sales if you know what you're doing. Let's start with frequent sales. Yes, they work. Um, if your store runs promotions and you can afford it, running them often makes sense. But if you're going to do that, you need to seriously ask yourself whether you're comfortable with a strategy where you're mostly selling at discounted margins. Etsy continues to show when a sale has ended, creating pressure and a sense of urgency for buyers. I know sellers who run 1 day sales every single day of the month. Is that extreme? Yes. If you have returning customers, this is not a great long term strategy because sooner or later your fans, meaning your repeat buyers, will realize you're constantly playing with pricing and they'll simply stop buying at regular prices. However, if you sell at scale, if your customers are mostly new, if you compete on price and volume rather than margin, this strategy can work very well. It does require manual work, but it produces results. You need to decide what average margins you want to operate on and what kind of product you're actually selling. If you're a more mass market seller, run frequent sales and adjust discount levels. If you sell unique products and fewer units, run sales less often and align them with your margins. One rule applies to everyone: always keep sales short because the pressure Etsy creates around an ending sale is one of the most effective psychological tools on the platform. Now, let's talk about abandoned carts. Etsy has a tool that allows you to send discount codes to buyers who added products to their cart but didn't complete the purchase. Everyone knows this tool exists, but the way it works discourages people from using it properly. Most purchasing decisions happen over time, and buyers often use carts simply to remember products they like, not because they're about to grab their credit card. As a result, when this tool is turned on, most buyers automatically receive a discount, even though many of them were already very close to buying without it. There are three main types of cart users. The first group uses carts like favorites and almost never buys. The second group adds products because they are already in the process of buying and you do not want to discount these people. The third group builds a cart and then removes items at checkout to fit a budget. And this is the group you actually want to target. There is a way to minimize giving discounts to people who are already about to purchase. At the very bottom of the abandoned cart discount setup, there is a checkbox that allows you to include abandoned carts from the last 30 days. The discount itself is valid for 60 days. If you enable that checkbox, send the discount, and then turn this promotion off, you effectively convert previously abandoned carts without constantly giving discounts to active buyers. You can do this once or twice a month, which allows you to extract sales from abandoned carts without bleeding margin every single day. Now, let's talk about Etsy's direction and seller denial. Etsy is changing, and it always has, because large marketplaces must adapt. This time, the focus is clearly on mobile users, scrolling behavior, larger visuals, and more interaction. Sellers complain nonstop that Etsy is becoming social media, something closer to Pinterest than a marketplace. They call it, yeah, unnecessary and a disaster. But here's the irony. If Pinterest enabled native shopping tomorrow, many of those same sellers would happily abandon Etsy. Let's ignore the complainers because this shift already happened. Um, Etsy is now a visual scroll-based marketplace. Everyone knows this, but almost no one reacts strategically. On social media, creators constantly ask people to like, follow, and subscribe. On Etsy, nobody does. Miss, I understand why. Years ago, likes heavily influenced ranking, and sellers created Facebook groups just to trade likes. uh, Etsy killed that circus. However, the follow button still exists because of that history and generally weak marketing knowledge uh, among sellers. One of the most basic tools in digital marketing is completely ignored. Etsy sends notifications to followers whenever you start a sale, add new listings, or relist sold out products. Your store functions like a social media feed. When you publish a new listing, Etsy tests it, and you need interaction during that testing window to extend visibility and generate sales that strengthen your search position. This is how Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and every major platform works. If you have a small follower base, uh, organic ranking is harder. The boost window is short, and you need traffic immediately. Etsy has always been a social selling platform, and today, low reach affects every channel, which is why building a follower base inside Etsy actually matters. Now, for the final hack in today's episode, video. No, video does not directly improve ranking. Algorithms don't work like that anymore. There is no checkbox logic where having something automatically makes you rank higher. However, Video has a massive impact on click-through rate, and click-through rate drives traffic, and traffic affects ranking. That's the chain. If you understand marketing basics, click-through rate equals attention, branding, and persuasion. So the question is why most sellers use listing videos to show low-quality close-ups of the product, often worse than their photos. For years, sellers learned how to take photos, while video is harder and quality will improve over time. The confusion started when Etsy said that videos bring benefits, and sellers assumed the algorithm changed. It didn't. Sales, traffic, conversion forever. Videos increased traffic, Etsy simplified the message, and sellers turned it into a myth. You don't need hundreds of videos for every product. You need a reason to click. Your first image already presents the product, and video starts only after hover, meaning the buyer already knows what they're looking at. Video should add value by showing your brand, your story, your options, and your advantage. This is marketing and advertising, not a technical requirement. If you create a universal video, you can reuse it across listings, creating consistency and saving time. Start thinking about your store as the system and stop copying mass behavior. Video is a place to stand out, not an obligation to show a product from every angle. That's all for today. If you're lost, check out the Etsy SEO course to better understand the basics. If Etsy ads are burning your money, I've created a separate course to help prevent that. See you soon.